This is one of those random Mondays where I find myself recording a day late. Yes, it is Monday here in the year 2025, November 10th, here on the beaches of lovely Long Island, New York. My name is Jane Cruz. This is the Isle of BS, a New York Islanders podcast, part of Time to BS and Belly of Sports. I am Dan Cruz. I'm coming to you from the beaches of lovely Long Island, New York. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Daniel Smooth and at Time to BS Podcast. Also at Daniel Smooth on TikTok for clips of the show. And on the Time to BS Podcast YouTube page. So usually I'd be recording this crap on a Sunday, Saturday. It just so happened to be that this weekend was hectic between the Seahawks Sessions Postgame show. It was a little late to get this one out. So I figured, hey, you know what? Let me record after the Devils game. See how they do. And share my thoughts on a particular topic. This might be a short one, but you never know. So, Islanders win 3-2 in overtime. Hand the Devils their first home loss this season after the Devils started 7-0. And Schaefer with another point. Horvat with another goal. Bo Horvat's been unfreaking believable so far in this season. He's got 12 goals. He's got 12 goals and 20 points. He's been great. And there's a couple things I want to get to. But I will also point out that there is a certain player that I want to discuss. Yes. And I will say that he's a very unpopular player here in Islander fandom. But before we continue on with this program, I must say, this show is not free. So be right back. It's time for some ads. This show ain't free, so time for some ads.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
That's right, peeps. Use the promo code BellyUpSports in all caps to get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com or on the SeatGeek app. Thanks to our friends over at SeatGeek for sponsoring this podcast and Belly Up, another Belly Up Sports podcast. So I mentioned earlier that I have two players I want to revisit. One of them is beloved, one of them not so much. So let's start with the beloved one. I would like to revisit the Bo Horvat trade. Now, in honor of Bo Horvat having 20 points so far in this season and 12 goals so far in this season, there is a particular weird number of Islander fans that were against this trade when it happened. Citing, and I quote, "They didn't give Beauvillier and Barzell enough time to mesh. You have an opportunity to get Bo Horvat for, quote, Anthony Beauvillier, prospect Aturatu, and a first-round pick. You do it. I'm sorry. This isn't NHL 25 or 26 or whatever the hell that trade was. 23. This isn't NHL whatever. This isn't a video game. You make this trade. You do it. 90% of the time. Okay? You really think you can run the team better? Go run the team then. That's all I'm going to say on that particular subject. When the Bo Horvat trade was announced, I remember where I was. I was in my bed. I was probably sick. But I looked at my phone, saw that Bo Horvat has been traded from the Vancouver Canucks to the New York Islanders. My initial reaction was, huh? Wait, Bo Horvat? This was one of Lou Lamoriello's last great moves that he made as Islanders GM. When the trade was announced and the term was announced, and then they signed Horvat to an 8-year contract, and then the Islanders played the Kraken in their first home game since the Horvat trade. Horvat scored, and the crowd chanted Horvat continuously. It felt like this trade to me felt like, for the first time in what felt like my entire life, someone wanted to come to Long Island to win. I remember Horvat waived his no trade clause to come to the Islanders and was like, you know what? I'm for it. This was awesome. And I can look back on it and say the Horvat trade has been a success, because at the same point, you have an opportunity to trade Anthony Beauvillier and Aatu Räty plus a first-round pick to Vancouver for Bo Horvat. You make this trade 90% of the time. You absolutely make that trade. Bo Horvat at the time had 31 goals in like 50 games, or like 45 games or something like that. He was on a tear with the Canucks, and they were good. The Canucks weren't like, they weren't some pushover. They were a good team at the time. And I don't know why the Canucks decided, hey, let's trade this guy. But they did, and it was stupid, but because one man's trash is another man's treasure, as they say. I can say from my personal opinion, which may not even be correct, but this is one of the better trades that the Islanders have made in quite some time. Considering the fact that Horvat in the last year now has been on a bleeping tear, and he's their number one center unequivocally by default. And it's great to see. It is great to see. I mentioned that there was a player that is almost universally hated amongst Islander fans. John Tavares. I'm going to revisit the day he left Long Island. It was July 1st, 2018. I remember where I was, what I was doing. I was grocery shopping at a local grocery store. I got the news from Twitter from Millie Friedman that Tavares was signing with the Maple Leafs, and my heart sank. Now, I can proudly say, 6 or 7 years later, it is what it is. I mean, listen, one of my great flaws amongst sports fandom is I like to see two sides of the same coin. Looking back, if I were in the shoes of one John Tavares, and I had the unique opportunity to go back home for a 7-year contract, $11 million per year, be like, you know what? I get to play for the Maple Leafs. I get to play for the great fan base, and they have a great fan base in Toronto. They really do. I mean, they get a bad rap, kind of deservedly so, up in Toronto. But they're a passionate fan base, and they know their puck. They know their hockey. And I went to the first Islander home game that Tavares came as a visitor. His first game back at Nassau Coliseum was a member of the Leafs. 6-1 Islander win. Blowout, we know that story. If I were to share my thoughts, 7 years later on the move. There is a weird term called forgive but don't forget. I understand why Islander fans are like weirdly hesitant to forgive the guy. Because it's not the fact that he left, it's how he did it. And I can look back with confidence and say, you know what? I can't blame him. You can't blame the guy for having the opportunity to go home and play for your home team. I would. Hell, if I was, if I were in his shoes and I was playing for like the San Jose Sharks or whatever, and the Islanders called me and said, "Hey, we want to sign you to this much money in this for this length of the contract," I'd be like, "Hell yeah, I would take it. Of course." Okay, better example. I was playing for like Philadelphia or something like that, and the Islanders called me like, "Hey, we want to offer you this much and this much, blah blah blah, for this long." Like, okay, I'm in. Done. I'm in. You do it. You do it 90% of the time. You do it, and it's not like one of those. I understand that Islander fans want to boo the guy every time he touches the puck. As a member of the Leafs, when they play the Islanders, I get it. I completely understand it. Because it's how he left, and I understand that. However, I'm not going to sit here and say he didn't deserve a lot of praise when he was here on the island. He did. He was the face of the franchise for a long time, and all things considered. He was the face of the franchise for nearly a decade. Nearly a decade and a captain for 6 years. Yeah, he's going to get his flowers. His number's not going to get retired because that belongs to Butch Goring because, saltiness, and I get it. Also, Butch Goring won 4 cups with this franchise. Was part of the 4-cup dynasty. Let's be honest here. Also, that's one of the greatest trades in franchise history to get Butch Goring from the Los Angeles Kings. Also, former Islander coach, Butch Goring. I digress. Looking back, how would I view this move? I don't really have like a definitive answer, so I don't sound like an ESPN gas bag. But if I were to, I don't know how to word this question. I don't know how to word it without making it sound like I'm ESPN. Because I don't want to be ESPN. I want to be me. And me is different. And not like, oh, how does this affect LeBron's legacy? Look, we as fans are entitled to our opinion of what we believe is. Donna, you okay? Hi, Bubba. Sorry, my cat. If I were to share emotions from then to now, obviously they changed because I've matured as a person as opposed to 7 years ago. 7 years ago I was dumb, young, and immature. And, premature, depending on how you put it. I obviously didn't see things from the business perspective. I saw things from the emotional perspective, and only that. I think if John were to be given the opportunity again to come back to Long Island, I don't think he would do it because of the way the fans treated him on the way out. And that's understandable. I know that's a weird possibility to welcome the idea of John Tavares coming back to the Islanders because that'd be ridiculous. Because, as the chance would say, they don't need him. They don't need him right now. They don't. And for the fans that will bicker and bitch and complain and say, John Tavares, traitor, I'm like, please. Yeah, it was bad the way he left. I can't disagree with that. But you're telling me you wouldn't take $77 million to go play for your home team? Come on. Come on. Be honest here. I'm not again, the feelings were justified. Booing Tavares every time he touched the puck, booing him in his first game back at Nassau. I get it. I completely understand both sides. But if you were to be offered $77 million to go play for your hometown club, you take that deal. 90% you would. Don't lie. So, I told you it was a quick episode. I will also ask you a very legitimate question. What's going on with the New York Rangers? Because for people that are like, oh, the Rangers stink, I'm like, yeah, they do. But, so I was watching the 5-0 Islanders shutout against the Rangers at MSG with my lovely fiance, who's a Rangers fan. And she goes out and says, oh, Potvin sucks. And I'm like, okay. So I guess this is a topic that I'm going to talk about. The Potvin sucks chant. One of the great jeers of Rangers Twitter or Rangers fandom or whatever the hell you want to call it. Potvin sucks. That hit was legal. That was a clean hit. Okay? For those who do not know what I'm talking about, allow me to educate you. The Denis Potvin hit. Jesus. Why am I Googling this? Because I don't remember off the top of my head. All right. So, the Potvin sucks chant leads to an infamous 1979 incident where Denis Potvin, Hall of Famer, hit Wolf Nielsen in a hockey game, resulting in a broken ankle for Nielsen. Okay. Hit was clean. He was hit into the boards. Season ending, and is also ended his career. Even Nielsen himself called the hit clean. Okay. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life as a fan because that'd be ridiculous and also childish. Anyone who can watch that hit back from 79 will tell you straight up that was a clean hit. The fact that there are Ranger fans that go back 50 years, nearly 50 years to that, it'd be 50 years in 4 years. So 46 years can go back to the hit and say, that was a BS call, it was BS, end his career, blah, blah, blah. It was like, yeah, he broke his ankle. Okay? Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to poo-poo all over your fanhood, but that was a clean hit. Okay? Now, if the roles were reversed, I understand. Like, let's say for present day purposes, let's say Matt Rempe of the Rangers, broke the leg of, Scott Mayfield. I don't know why Scotty's catching the strays, but you get what I'm saying. If the roles were reversed, yeah, I'd be a little bitter. But from my point of view, I'd be like, oh, man, that sucks. It's a clean hit, though. So you really can't get too mad about it. You see? It's okay. Like, it's 46 years. Grow up, people. Just grow up. God's sakes. It's clean. I want to hear Rangers fans' thoughts about this that were ingrained in their heads that Potvin sucks. Meanwhile, Denis Potvin is a 4-time Stanley Cup champion and a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest defensemen to ever play the game. Anyway, I want to get Rangers fans' thoughts on this and share their thoughts if the chant needs to go away or if it's a symbolic part of the rivalry. And like, okay, whatever. I mean, I'm a younger fan, technically speaking. So I didn't see the cups. I didn't see 94. I didn't see 93 either. But I'm like, it was ingrained in my skull to always hate the Rangers. But like now I'm just like, okay, the games are fun. Islander Ranger games are a blast. But every time I hear the whistle at MSG that says the Potvin sucks chant, I just go in to scream at the top of my lungs like, the hit was clean. It was a clean hit. It was legal also. No penalty was called. But the fact that you want to baby and complain because you didn't get your way or whatever 46 years ago. And by the way, hockey was a lot more violent back in the day, back then than it is now. Let's be real here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be real. Let me know what you guys think. That'll do it for this edition of Isle of BS. Be sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe. However you're watching, however you're listening. My name is Dan Cruz. I'm coming to you from the beaches of lovely Long Island, New York. And I'll see you all in this life, and most certainly the next one. Cheers, everyone. Have a good night.